What if the cup of coffee you already drink every morning could quietly become one of your strongest allies against age related muscle loss? Most people never think of coffee that way. They see it as a comfort, a habit, a small pleasure before the day begins. But stay with me for a moment because what you're about to hear could completely change how you look at that first sip. I'm Dr. Selena Clark. I've spent more than 3 decades working with nutrition science and age related health, especially with people who are terrified of losing their independence. Not long ago, a woman named Margaret came into my clinic. She was 68, exhausted, and emotionally worn down. She told me she felt like her body was betraying her. Simple things like carrying grocery bags or standing up after sitting too long had become overwhelming. She wasn't lazy, she wasn't careless. She had tried exercise programs, supplements, diet changes, and advice from well meaning friends. Nothing stuck. What struck me most wasn't her physical weakness, it was the fear in her voice. She was scared of becoming dependent on others, of losing control over her own life. So instead of overwhelming her with another complicated plan, I asked her a simple question. I asked her what she did first thing every morning. She smiled slightly and said, "I make my coffee. I never skip that." That was the moment everything clicked. I explained to Margaret that coffee itself isn't the enemy many people think it is. In fact, when used the right way, it can be a powerful delivery system for nutrients that support muscle strength, joint health, and energy. I told her about specific ingredients, backed by solid research, that could be added directly to her daily coffee. Not extreme, not exotic, not expensive, just smart, strategic additions that work with the aging body instead of against it. Margaret didn't change her entire life overnight. She didn't become a fitness fanatic. She simply started upgrading something she was already doing every single day. 3 months later, she was walking several miles at a time and carrying her own groceries again. More importantly, she had her confidence back. Before we go any further, let me say this clearly. Nothing you're about to hear is about miracle cures or instant results. Muscle loss with age is real and it's serious, but it is not hopeless. Understanding what's happening inside your body is the first step toward changing the outcome. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear explained properly. After the age of 30, the human body begins to lose muscle mass gradually. It may sound small at first, but over time it adds up. By the time many people reach their 60s, a noticeable portion of their strength is already gone. This process has a name, sarcopenia. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It creeps in quietly, weakening balance, slowing movement, and increasing the risk of falls and fractures. Sarcopenia isn't just about looking thinner or feeling a little weaker. It affects metabolism, stability, and even mental confidence. When muscles weaken, people move less. When they move less, muscles weaken further. It becomes a downward spiral that can feel impossible to stop. But here's the part that rarely gets enough attention. The aging body can still respond. Muscles can still repair, maintain, and even grow stronger when they're given the right signals and the right fuel. That's where daily habits matter more than extreme interventions. And that's exactly where coffee comes in. Coffee is already part of many people's routines. It's warm, familiar, and comforting. More importantly, it's something most people are consistent with. Consistency is everything when it comes to preserving strength as you age. By enhancing coffee with ingredients that support muscle tissue, reduce inflammation, and stabilize energy, you turn a simple habit into a powerful daily ritual. Over the next several minutes, I'm going to explain how certain additions to coffee can support muscle health from multiple angles. Some help manage blood sugar and inflammation. Some support joints and connective tissue. Others directly stimulate muscle repair and growth. Each plays a different role, and together they create a foundation for strength and independence. Let's begin gently because not every change needs to be dramatic. One of the simplest additions is cinnamon. Most people think of it as a flavor, but it does much more than make coffee taste warm and comforting. Cinnamon helps regulate blood sugar, which is critical for maintaining steady energy. When blood sugar spikes and crashes, muscles suffer, energy drops, inflammation rises, and the body becomes less efficient at using nutrients. By helping the body respond better to insulin, cinnamon allows glucose to be used as fuel instead of being stored or wasted. This means more consistent energy throughout the day and less internal stress on muscle tissue. It's not a muscle builder by itself, but it creates the metabolic environment muscles need to survive and function. Another gentle but meaningful addition is pure unsweetened cocoa powder. Not the sugary mixes, but real cocoa-rich and natural compounds called flavonols. These compounds improve circulation, which matters more with age than most people realize. Better blood flow means oxygen and nutrients reach muscle tissue more efficiently. This supports recovery, reduces soreness, and helps muscles do their job without excessive fatigue. Cocoa also supports the cardiovascular system, which indirectly protects muscle health. When the heart and blood vessels work better, every muscle in the body benefits. Again, this isn't about dramatic changes overnight. It's about supporting the systems that keep muscles alive and responsive. Then there are healthy fats like those found in coconut oil or MCT oil. These fats are processed differently from most others. They're quickly converted into usable energy rather than being stored. For older adults, this kind of steady energy can be transformative. It supports movement, focus, and daily activity. And movement is one of the strongest signals the body uses to preserve muscle. What's important to understand is that none of these early additions work alone. They prepare the body, they reduce friction, they make it easier for muscles to respond when stronger tools are introduced. Think of them as setting the stage rather than stealing the spotlight. As we move deeper into this, it's important to understand something reassuring. You don't need perfection for progress. You don't need every supplement, every trick, every optimization. What matters is giving your body the core materials it has been missing for years. This is where many older adults unknowingly fall short, even when they believe they're eating well. One of the most overlooked foundations of muscle health is adequate protein paired with minerals that support bone strength. Muscles don't exist in isolation. They anchor to bones, rely on stable joints, and depend on a strong internal framework. When that framework weakens, the body subconsciously limits movement to protect itself, and muscle loss accelerates. This is why adding milk or a protein-rich creamer to coffee can be more impactful than it sounds. Milk provides a combination of protein and calcium that works together. Calcium helps maintain bone density, which supports balance and posture. Protein supplies amino acids, the raw materials muscles use to repair themselves after daily wear and tear. Even small amounts added consistently can shift the balance in your favor. For those who can't tolerate regular milk, the key is not the label, but the nutrition facts. Many plant-based alternatives look healthy, but contain almost no protein. Choosing a fortified option with meaningful protein content ensures your coffee is contributing to muscle preservation instead of just adding calories. Once this foundation is in place, we move into an area that becomes increasingly important with age: connective tissue. Muscles are only as effective as the tendons, ligaments, and joints that allow them to move freely. This is where collagen comes into the picture. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the human body, yet production naturally declines as we get older. This decline affects joint comfort, flexibility, and overall movement quality. Stiffness and aches aren't just uncomfortable, they discourage activity, and reduced activity sends a powerful signal to the body that muscle tissue is no longer needed. Supplementing with collagen helps support these connective structures. Many people notice reduced joint discomfort first, which allows them to move more confidently. What's particularly interesting is that when movement improves, muscles are given the opportunity to respond. In combination with light resistance or daily activity, collagen can support better muscle function over time. Collagen blends easily into coffee and has no strong taste, which makes it one of the easiest habits to maintain. Consistency matters far more than timing or perfection. Over weeks, not days, the cumulative effect becomes noticeable in how the body feels during everyday tasks. Now we arrive at one of the most critical turning points in protecting muscle with age. This is where the conversation shifts from support to direct action. Whey protein deserves special attention because it addresses the core issue behind age-related muscle loss. As we age, our muscles become less responsive to protein. This means older adults often need more high-quality protein than younger people to trigger the same muscle-building response. Whey protein is uniquely effective because it contains all essential amino acids and is especially rich in leucine, the amino acid that signals muscle repair and growth. Think of leucine as the switch that tells your body, this muscle is worth maintaining. Without that signal, muscle tissue gradually breaks down. With it, the body is reminded that strength and function are still priorities. Research consistently shows that older adults who consume sufficient whey protein can slow or even reverse aspects of muscle loss. This translates into real-world benefits: stronger legs, better grip strength, improved balance, and greater confidence moving through daily life. Adding whey protein to coffee may sound unusual at first, but unflavored or lightly flavored varieties blend surprisingly well when mixed properly. For those who exercise in the morning, it becomes an ideal post-activity drink. For those who don't, it still provides a powerful protein anchor to start the day. What makes this especially important is that many seniors simply don't eat enough protein overall, particularly at breakfast. Starting the day protein deficient puts muscles at a disadvantage for the next 24 hours. A single daily habit can correct that imbalance. At this point, it's worth pausing and acknowledging something emotional as well as physical. Losing strength often feels personal. People blame themselves. They assume weakness means failure or laziness. That belief is not only untrue, it's harmful. The aging body changes its rules. Learning the new rules is not giving up, it's adapting intelligently. There is one more major factor that quietly undermines muscle health if left unaddressed: chronic inflammation. Low grade inflammation increases with age and interferes with muscle repair, joint comfort, and recovery. Even when protein intake is adequate, inflammation can blunt the body's ability to use it effectively. This is where turmeric, and specifically its active compound curcumin, becomes relevant. Curcumin works at the cellular level to calm inflammatory signals that would otherwise accelerate tissue breakdown. Less inflammation means less pain, better mobility, and a greater willingness to stay active. Activity is not optional for muscle preservation. It doesn't have to be intense, but it must be regular. By reducing discomfort and stiffness, curcumin indirectly supports muscle by making movement easier and more appealing. When combined with a small amount of black pepper and a source of fat, its absorption increases dramatically, turning a simple addition into a meaningful daily defense. What's important to remember is that none of these elements work in isolation. They are pieces of a system. Protein feeds muscle, collagen supports structure, anti-inflammatory compounds protect the environment, energy sources encourage movement. Together, they shift the body out of decline mode and back into maintenance mode. Now it's time to bring everything together, because none of these additions matter if the foundation itself is misunderstood. Coffee by itself has been unfairly judged for years. When used thoughtfully, it's not something that drains health. It can actually support it. Coffee is one of the richest sources of antioxidants in the modern diet. These compounds protect cells from oxidative stress, a process that accelerates aging and damages muscle tissue over time. Oxidative stress doesn't cause dramatic pain or obvious symptoms right away. It works quietly, weakening cells and slowing recovery. Antioxidants help neutralize that damage, allowing muscles to repair more efficiently after everyday activity. This is especially important as recovery naturally slows with age. Coffee also improves alertness, focus, and physical performance. Even modest improvements in energy can lead to more movement throughout the day. Standing more often, walking a little farther, carrying things instead of avoiding them. These small actions send powerful signals to the body that muscle is still needed. But balance matters. Too much caffeine, especially on an empty stomach, can increase stress hormones that work against muscle preservation. That's why enhanced coffee should be consumed alongside food and hydration. It's not about drinking more coffee. It's about making the coffee you already enjoy work smarter for you. When all the elements come together, coffee becomes more than a beverage. It becomes a ritual, a daily reminder that you're actively supporting your strength instead of passively watching it fade. Cinnamon helps steady energy. Cocoa supports circulation. Healthy fats provide lasting fuel. Milk or protein-rich creamers supply building blocks. Collagen supports joints and connective tissue. Whey protein directly signals muscle repair. Turmeric helps calm inflammation. And coffee itself ties it all together with antioxidants and motivation. What makes this approach powerful is its simplicity. There's no drastic lifestyle overhaul, no extreme restriction, no complicated schedule. It fits naturally into a routine that already exists. That's why it works for people like Margaret. She didn't change who she was. She simply changed what she added to something she already loved. Within weeks, she felt less stiff. Within months, she felt stronger. And with that strength came confidence. Confidence leads to more movement. More movement protects muscle. The cycle reverses. It's important to say this clearly. Aging does not mean surrendering strength. It means being more intentional. The body still listens, it still responds, but it needs clearer signals and better support than it did at 30 or 40. You don't need to start with everything at once. Start where it feels manageable. Maybe that's adding protein. Maybe it's addressing joint discomfort first. Maybe it's simply becoming more consistent. Progress comes from repetition, not perfection. Your independence is built on small daily choices. Strength isn't just about muscles, it's about dignity, confidence, and freedom. Sometimes the path back to it begins with something as ordinary as your morning coffee, transformed into something quietly powerful. If this approach resonates with you, let it be an invitation, not a pressure. Choose one change, let it become routine, then build from there. Your body is still capable of more than you've been led to believe, and every morning is a new chance to remind it of that.